The real villain will always be disguised as the greatest victim. Ladies and gentlemen, we are opening another can of worms, and I have to say a special shout out to the winning team, in particular Gypsy Geek Freak 17, because it was his video that I watched on Rumble today that made me really think more about this. And it was such perfect timing because I was just thinking about a lot of specific things. And he was sharing in his video, just talking about how if everybody in, so I'm saying this is the best team ever. So I'm saying this is the best team. But anyway, he was saying that, he also has a channel on YouTube, Gypsy Geek Freak 17, check it out. He was saying that if everybody in their own groups took accountability for the wrongdoing in history, then the real villains would be exposed because the real villains would be the only ones still playing victim, right? And I thought that was quite interesting, right? And he's so right. And I'm just going to just try and say what I need to say in a way that can be said on YouTube. But I just wanted to give him his flowers because this really had me thinking, because it's so true that the problem that comes, and we all know, and obviously we know, now you guys know when I say that this is the best team, and when I say that there's real life winners here, I'm not joking, right? As we know, and this is one of the early days of us being called the winning team, I used to say, winners are victors and losers are victims, right? And I always talk about the losing team, the kingdom of darkness, right? So how can the losing team be the kingdom of darkness, be the victim? Well, I'm going to explain this to you guys in another term than what he did in his video. He was talking about it through the lens of physical events and who was getting blamed for this, that, or the other, the truth of what did actually happen, and the fact that at the end of the day, everybody's done wrong in the past. Everybody's, done things against others in the past. And what we should actually be paying attention to is the people who are not claiming to have done any wrong in the past. Right? And he was talking about that on a historical basis. So I'm not even going to try to come close to all the knowledge that he dropped in there because he had far more knowledge historically than I did. What I wanted to kind of pivot into another direction of the same concept with, which is what I was already thinking about before I watched the video, was how this is exactly how manipulative people actually work as well, right? Because in relationships of any sort, right? And especially when you're dealing with narcissistic individuals. And I want to remember, guys, this actually makes sense when you think about it because the devil himself is the father of narcissism. He is the originator of narcissism. So this makes sense why he is the ultimate loser, right? He's the ultimate loser because why is he the ultimate loser? He is there. He messed up himself. And now because he's having a little, eternal upset that God is going to forgive others, he's trying to bring the rest of us down with him and come and infect us with his disease so that we have to be sent to the same destination as him, right? Which is exactly a losing mentality. That's why I said that if you're winners, we over here, we don't make excuses like we went through this, we went through that, so we're going to be a horrible human being and we don't know what someone's been through in their childhood. We've all been through childhood issues. Some of us are victors, some of us are victims. Some of us are victors, right? Some of us choose to heal and choose to grow and choose to seek deliverance and to do better because we don't want to be passing things down to the next thing or to be passing around to the people around us. That's what losers do. That's what people do on the losing team, right? Yeah, I said what I said. So manipulators are the perfect at this, particularly narcissistic individuals, right? Because obviously, narcissistic people are some of the most delusional of all time, right? And when I say delusional, they have to be deluded because deep down, they truly hate themselves more than anything. And so because they don't want to address that, what they do is they create this fake reality that we all believe in, right? That's why narcissistic people have to have these big, with lots of people, a lot of them, they need the adoration. They need people to feed into the fake reality so that the noise and the cheering and the worship of the fake reality can be stronger than the voices deep down on the inside of self-hatred, right? So that's the truth. This is what the experts in narcissism talk about. So I'm just saying the clinicians, and just to also mention again, I've actually done a lot of research into narcissism. I don't use the term like how other people do. People think it means you love yourself. Narcissists are the people that hate themselves more than anyone. But actually, so that just goes to show you that you don't understand narcissism if that's what you thought up until now. Do your research, do your homework, right? So where am I going with this? When you're dealing with these narcissistic individuals, they always have to be the victim, because the whole premise of their concept of their reality is that they are the one to be adored. They are almost like the infallible, because as soon as there's a fault of any sort, it's almost like a little string on a ball of yarn that if you just keep pulling it, you're going to realize there's a whole ball of yarn in there. So they can't be held accountable for anything, and they can't take accountability. So this is why when you're dealing with somebody who's like that, right, they can't take accountability for anything, because taking accountability, and so I said it's so funny, because a whole chain of things had happened, of a whole bunch of different things, for me to have had one other conversation with somebody else that I had, to then other things that I was studying for a project I'm working on, to me then watching this video by one of you guys, which I just happened to go and check because I haven't been on Rumble in ages. I was like, hey, let me go and check on his channel. I haven't seen anything recently. I should go and check out a video. Lo and behold, I see this video pop up, and I started watching it, and I was locked in for the whole video. Yeah, also, Rumble needs to add post notifications for people that are not streaming. Can I just say that? Because that's really annoying. Because I don't know why I get notifications for people that, like, when only of people that stream, but people when they upload that I've got notifications on for, it doesn't pop up on my phone. It's really annoying. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, the manipulative people, anyway, this was a conclusion of in multiple areas. They don't take advantage. They don't take accountability. Right? And it's true, because if you've really got nothing to hide and you're really not any kind of heinous creature, you can just say, hey, look, this is what I've done. This is what I've done in the past. If you're not actively still trying to do something negative, you can actually, that's what I'm saying. The victim is the villain, right? The victim is the villain. If you're not actively there saying, hey, you know what? I did do this. I did do that. Then, you might be the one who's doing at the moment the villainy. So I'll give you guys an example of something that I said. Actually, would I use that as an example? I will use an example. I'm going to make one up, right? So I actually really don't even have to. Actually, can I do that in this way? Hold on a minute. Let me just think for a second. Okay, I'm just going to use the example I was going to use. So I always use this example because it was one of the moments that I realized that, you know, villains are not villains a lot of the time. A lot of the time, quote unquote, heroes. And again, this is the devil always showing his hand in entertainment, but us just not paying attention. So I was telling you guys about this show I was watching called Once Upon a Time. And in the show, they have lots of the old school, like fairy tale type characters, you know, your Snow White, Cinderellas, and the Wicked Witches and whatever. So in this scenario, there's Snow White and the Wicked Witch, right? Now, in the story on Once Upon a Time, it's a series. I don't know if it's still on Netflix, but it is. It's really good. It's one of my favorite series of all time. It's just so good, so well written. The characters are so good, and it's just, I love it. Yeah, so in Once Upon a Time, right, Snow White and the witch are both sisters as children, like adopted sisters, and their mother is a witch, and she's a wicked woman. She just wants them to turn into witches, and neither of them want to. The younger one, who's Snow White, she doesn't want to, and the older one, she just loves to ride horses, and she's in love with this guy, and she's a very lovely, sweet woman. What happens is, the long and short of it is, she has this boyfriend in secret, and as siblings do, she asks her sister, can you not tell mom about this, because you know that if she figures this out, she's going to kill him, because she doesn't want me to be in love. She wants me to turn into her, right? She wants us to turn into her. Snow White blabs anyways, and then that causes for the mum to go and kill she pulls his heart out of his chest and crushes it, right? Because that's what they do in Once Upon a Time. And he dies, and then the Wicked Witch goes into severe depression because she's lost her one true love. All she wanted to do, like I said, was ride horses and be with this guy prior to becoming the Wicked Witch, which again is a narrative that was put onto her. Fast forward to where we are now. So this is something we find out way later in the show about their childhood. Where they are now, the Wicked Witch, she's the mayor of the town. Everybody hates her. She's like always dressed in dark. She's quite a brash, abrasive, kind of like aggressive kind of woman. And then you have Snow White, who's loved by everybody in the community and just seen as whatever, and she's with her Prince Charming, and they're so cute together. They're like Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, and they're like, you know what I'm saying, that whole vibe of all of that. That's what they're like. in the thing, right? Everybody's like so happy for them. They're like everybody's favorite little heroes, right? Little does everybody know that Snow White, who's been considered to do no wrong, is actually the reason for what's her name? Regina's literally one of my favorite characters of all time. The Wicked Witch on Once Upon a Time. Also, the actress who plays her, she's just fantastically amazing and gorgeous, mind you, stunningly gorgeous. So she obviously hasn't told anybody of the background, because why would she? Why bother? Right? Because she just, she is who she is. She is where she's at now. Because of course Snow White is just there, and like she's just whatever, and she's also like a victim to the witch, just like everybody else, right? And so everybody hates her, even though, funny story, the witch, all she wanted was just to have a child and just to have what everybody else has, what Snow White has, and what stopped her from having what she has was what Snow White did. But Snow White is out here just acting like another victim. And this is what I'm trying to say to you guys. What I'm saying about the villain, if everybody takes accountability, then we'll find out that the greatest victim is actually the villain. Because the truth is, how did Regina turn out how she did? It's actually because of Snow White. Now, albeit, I'm not trying to put the blame on the child. I'm using this as an example so you guys can like visualize what I'm talking about. Okay, sorry. There was something flying near the window. I was like, please do not fly in here right now. I just cannot be bothered. But anyway, you get the gist of what I'm trying to say. And so that's why I so agree, because in the world today, and this is all I'm going to say, because I don't want to delve too far into this. A lot of these videos I'm making is kind of like starting thoughts for you guys for the upcoming stuff that I'm doing. But like, if we look in history, all I'll say is this. This is how I'll say it, what I need to say, what needs to be said. All I'll say is that in history, there is poor history for every group of people, from all sorts. Most nations have been slaves at some point. Most nations have been conquered at some point. Most nations have enslaved at some point themselves. Most nations have taken down other places, have killed their own people, have killed others, have done things for religious reasons, have done things for bad reasons, whatever. All I will say is that I do believe, this is what I'm willing to say, and this is the only way I can say it, that the biggest villains of the world that are the reason for all the problems that we have, that are the reasons for the state of the world as it is, and who are the closest to the loser, the devil himself. And the clues are right in front of you if you think about it, right? Now, this isn't anything to do with what I just said, but like another interesting example is how Jesus's own people killed him. That's what I'm going to say, right? His own people. So what I would just like to say is that whoever right now are the villains in the world, I would just like to say that they are the greatest victim. And just think about what groups you cannot speak about. And just keep going. I'll help you guys along the journey. I'm a Black person, right? You can't speak against, well, publicly you can somewhat speak against Black people. You won't get like deleted off the internet, right? But we've all accepted that. Well, we haven't all accepted. I personally haven't. But there is this thing now that because Black people have been considered to be significant victims in history, especially recent history, that we can't really be, that we are seen as the victims. But in actuality, I'll speak on behalf of Black people. In a lot of contexts, we are the villains. In a lot of contexts, we actually are the villains for a lot of reasons. In our own lives, in our own family, I've said this before, in our own families, right? We are dysfunctional without whatever happened before in this and that. And if you are still using that as an excuse, that makes you a loser. That makes you a loser. And oh my gosh, I have so much more to say about this whole thing to do with Black people, and especially to do with slavery in the United States and the UK. Because I did a deep dive because I had a thought that swooped into my mind. And it's all making a whole lot of stuff make sense. Listen, you guys, I would just stay around if I was you. I would hit that subscribe. I would turn on the post notifications, honestly speaking. But yeah, I'm speaking as a Black person. I'm just saying that I recognize in our community, we at some point, I don't know if we still are, we're aborting more of our own babies than we would be creating birth to. I hear more negatives. I've experienced more racism from other Black people than I have from any other race. Of like, oh, you're not proud of where you come from because what? Because of my parents chose for me to grow up in the West. That's not my choice. That wasn't my choice. I'm actually very proud of where I come from. What? But did you see what I'm saying? It's like everything is, even recently there's been another shattering of the relationships again amongst the Black women in the West, because the Black African women and now the Black Western women are at odds, because the Black Western women, those who wanted to go and do Dirty December and all of this, right? But you guys don't know what Dirty December is, right? Basically, like a lot of people like who are from African origin, particularly Nigeria and Ghana, who are in the West, living in the West, like even in the UK, living in the US, go to Nigeria or Ghana, like to basically party and everything for all of December. That's what's called Dirty December, right? So this backfired last year, and there's a lot of issues, and now there's again a wedge between the African women and the Western Black women, because they're annoyed because there's been sleeping with African women's husbands, but then the issue is really the husbands, and also husbands, why are you doing that? You see what I'm saying? The issue is all amongst ourselves. But then there's so many issues amongst ourselves, but then, you know, we've called ourselves the victims when a lot of times we're our own villains. Like I said, so I don't listen to these rappers talking about they killed this person, they shot that person, because it's not funny. How are you going to talk to me about, oh, the police did this and the police did that, the police killed so and so forth, right? But then we're killing ourselves. How are you going to do that? How are you going to talk to me about the dysfunction and the disrespect of the Black people and the Black community and the Black women and the Black man, when the Black people and the Black family can't even keep themselves together and can't even maintain stable relationships? I don't want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying that, like, I don't see myself as a victim. I see myself as a victor. The fact that I am the woman that I am today makes me a victor. You know what I'm saying? Have I been through things and have I went through situations as a result of being Black that affect me? Yes. But has me and my Black people, and also not just in my life and in my life living now, but also historically, the places that I come from, have they done things, bad things as well? Yes, I can take accountability. So again, my question goes back to who historically, again, and we're just mentioning things. It could be to do with race. It could be to do with religion. I find it interesting that some people that were historically, you know, a belief system have become something else, you know. Just saying, if you're paying attention, you can read between the lines, right? But that's what I'm going to say on that. And I just wanted to say what I just said, by the way, after I had introduced Gypsy Geek Freak 17, who is the one whose video that I watched. Just want to say that after I talked about his video, everything else I said after that was all my opinion. So don't go and like connect that to what he thinks. That's, if you want to hear what he thinks, go and check out his own stuff. Like I said, and also the winning team is just so freaking cool. But yeah, it's true. And that's why I'm a believer of accountability, because if everybody actually stopped to take accountability, even when you're dealing with manipulative people, if everybody stopped to take accountability for something, the only person who will not be able to take accountability is to the active manipulator, because they're the one doing something. And if they now say, oh, they now take accountability for anything, it's going to be so obvious to everybody that actually they are the common denominator of everybody else's problems. And that's why they can never take accountability. That's why there's no point arguing. Like the people who are experts of working with narcissistic people do. They always say, don't bother to argue with a narcissist. Don't do it, because they're not going to admit to anything. They're never going to take accountability, because they can't. Because taking accountability, it's like opening a can of worms now. Because now it's going to tie to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And before you know it, you're unraveling the fake reality that they have created. The fake reality that they've created for you to believe in, so that they can feel like they can ignore the reality that they don't want to ignore, that they don't want to have to ignore, and so that you can believe in the fake reality. Because now if you don't have that fake reality, then it will reveal who they really are. And again, if you're not afraid of who you really are, and if you truly are a victor, you would have no problem taking accountability, because we all have things to take accountability for. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's why I just think it's perfect. So yeah, I'm just so cool. I just love a life where I get to be inspired by people that I met through doing stuff like this. You guys are so freaking awesome and so cool. And this is what I mean when I say that this is the best team ever on the planet, and I just believe we will be. Like, we're just a fighting force, and I felt so built up in spirit. Like, I felt so strengthened listening to one of you guys, like, just going at it and saying what you got to say and saying it with your chest and speaking up and speaking out. And I was thinking, come on, this is what I'm talking about. These are the days that I have prayed for in my life. So you guys are genuinely an answer to my prayers. And also, yeah, I just wanted to say that as another lesson. Let's all just start taking accountability, because you know why? I like this. Shout out to Gypsy Geek Freak 17. Let's all start taking accountability, because if we all take accountability, guess what happens? Guess what happens? The real villains, they won't do it. And like I said, I'm looking at this from a different angle, completely different angle to where he came from. But he was right. He was talking about different backgrounds of people, different nationalities or whatever around the world, and how if you look at history contextually and look at who's taking, and how interesting who has decided to take accountability and who hasn't. Really interesting, isn't it? Maybe we should pay attention to that a little bit more, shouldn't we? Maybe we should pay attention to that in real life. Maybe we should pay attention to the people that no matter how many times that you speak to them, they never seem to be the problem. They always seem to be offended. And it's funny because you won't notice, because there's a difference between being the common denominator and coming across as a victim. Because you can easily come across as a victim without people noticing that you're actually the common denominator. That's the thing. Because you're the victim. Victims can't be common denominators. That's like telling somebody, you know, and I'm not going to go there. We're just going to leave it there. Anyways, you guys, if life's a game, let's play to win. Listen, if life's a game, let's play to win. We're playing to win over here. I don't know what you're waiting for. I don't know where you're trying to be. You need to just hit that subscribe button, get in the comments. Heck, make your own channel. If anybody else who watches this has any channels or anything, let me know, because I'm really slow with it. But the people who know, who've been here for a while, you know, eventually I always make sure to check in what everybody's doing and check in with everybody to some degree, because I just think it's so cool what we're building here. And I never want you guys to, and I always want to be involved. I want to know what's happening in the team. So I'm so excited, you guys. Anyways, you guys, if life's a game, let's play to win. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. And I'll see you in the next one.